Thank you for joining us for these regional interviews that we're doing. The goal of these videos is to make sure we're highlighting the need across the entire state that we need our advocacy to end homelessness. We know shelters save lives, housing ends homelessness, and we're taking that serious throughout the entire state, making sure advocates are sharing that message. For this interview, our guest is Julie, the Executive Director of Stepping Stone Emergency Housing in Anoka. She's also a city councilor with Blaine. So lots of hats. You do a lot of different leadership roles. So we're just really happy that you let us interview you. So I'm just going to dive right in, Julie. So our first question, how does the need for more emergency shelter beds? We know we need more, but it's nice to know specifically in your community. So why do you say we need more shelter beds?
So first of all, thanks for welcoming me and inviting me to this interview. It's really important that all of us, no matter what hats we wear, advocate for this cause because it's so needed and so many voices need to come together to be heard. How does the need for more emergency shelter impact me and my community? So just a little bit of background. Stepping Stone is the only single adult homeless shelter in the communities of Anoka, Washington, Dakota, Scott, and Carver counties. We're the only bricks and mortar. Now, due to COVID, and as a result of COVID, there's many other programs that have popped up into hotel motel models, which has been fascinating. And really COVID has forced us to open our eyes to, not our eyes as advocates and those of us who work in this, but the community's eyes to how real and true this problem is and how it's not going away anytime soon. And how it's the need for more beds. Obviously, one organization in one city in one of the 5 SMAC counties is not enough and will never be enough. And what's happening and what every one of you can see right now, and Matt, you can see this too, is that every human being, especially now with COVID, now that we're, in self-isolation and social distancing, we need other people. We need human beings. And those experiencing homelessness are no exception to that. And so we thrive and we succeed when we are in community. And so for those experiencing homelessness, they are going to find that community. And how they're finding that community now is through encampments. And so finally, we're seeing this smack in our face, including in the suburbs, of course, in the urban areas. But it's really starting to be seen in the suburbs where before it really didn't go seen at all. And so when things aren't seen, they don't exist. Now it's starting to come into the suburbs and getting noticed. So the need for more shelter beds is to provide that community, to provide that safe, secure support in a socially distanced environment, to ensure that residents are treated with critical support services, provided their basic needs, but also provided that sense of community, which also contributes to their healing.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. Especially the growing, visible crisis going on in the suburbs. And we have also interviewed St. Stephen's, and they do street outreach, and they're saying they're getting a bunch more calls from the suburbs, compared to previous years. So the message you're saying there is being, heard by, as you're saying, us advocates, but we do want to make sure everybody knows about it. So when I'm thinking about some street outreach and Stepping Stone, I know you all need resources. You need to be able to keep the lights on. You need to be able to pay your staff well. What could you do with more resources, or what would be the consequences if we do not secure more resources for shelters such as Stepping Stone?
The resources question is really a tough one because we know we need money. We know we need to open shelters. We know we need to pay staff a livable wage, and we need to provide the basic needs and amenities that human beings in this country hope to have. I mean, not just a bed, but Wi-Fi and computers for online searches, for job applications, for housing applications. Those are not privileged items anymore. They're necessities of life. But when you talk about resources, it's not just blindly throwing money at a situation. It has to be very thoughtful and intentional and efficient to how that money is being given. And right now with these hotel motel models, it is an absolute necessity right now because of the crisis that we're in. But let's think through this a little bit more, and the vast amount of money that's being put into these hotel motels. It is incredibly expensive. So let's refocus those dollars onto the purchasing of hotels or motels so that we, as organizations, as service providers, as nonprofits, we know how to make a dollar last a very long time. And so let's put that priority on us so that we can still provide shelter at a very fiscally responsible way. But those resources are so essential right now, and not just for bricks and mortar buildings and water bills and utilities and rent and stuff like that, but we have to pay our staff a livable wage. They can't be one paycheck away from being a resident themselves. These men and women put blood, sweat, and tears into their jobs, and they deserve so much more. I have fought so hard over these last few months to provide hazard pay to my staff, and I've been able to, thanks for a lot of generosity from the community, as well as our state, frankly. And they feel appreciated that way. They feel like they can get a little bit ahead through this time, which is so hard right now. So that's definitely needed as well.
Right. So I have tons of respect for the work you do and what Stepping Stone does. I know one of the things you really value is making sure people that are either currently staying in the shelter or have an opportunity to really help shape what they need. So just briefly here, this will be our final question, but like, I feel like you've created an amazing culture and you have a lot of wisdom and experience. I'm just wondering, do you have anything to say for folks watching right
now? I think, well, yeah, I guess if you give me the opportunity, I have a heck of a lot to say watching right now. I think a few things. First, listen. Stop speaking and listen. And it took me a long time to come to that realization, truth be told. It took a lot for me to shut my mouth and listen to our residents and listen to those who are experiencing homelessness and truly understand what they are needing. And then take your powerful voice and say that to as many people, as many times, in as many places as absolutely possible. Because right now, those 66 men and women at our shelter, they don't have that power. They don't have that voice. And they need you to find yours and speak on their behalf. And if we get 20, 50, 100 people speaking for one, just think of how many more voices can be heard for 66. And speak passionately and constantly, because this momentum that is happening right now in our culture is contagious, and it can't, unlike COVID, it can't end. It needs to keep going, and we're the only ones that are going to keep it going, because again, it's not going away anytime soon at all.
Right. So thank you for those words. I know the internet was cutting out a little bit, but
Shoot.
Yeah, but that's all right, because the words we're still able to hear you, and that's what's important. You even gave me a little bit of the goosebumps there. So thank you.
Oh.
If you are watching this, again, take heart to what Julie has said and try to do what you can. So, and Julie, thank you for giving your time and letting us interview you.
Thank you, as always, for the opportunity, Matt.